How many of us have found ourselves endlessly scrolling on our phones, telling ourselves just 5 more minutes, only to look up an hour later and realize we've achieved nothing? It's a habit that has quietly stolen our time, our focus, and our potential. Today, I want to talk about a simple but life-changing idea. Stop scrolling and start working. I want to begin by asking you a simple question. How much of your day do you spend scrolling through your phone, moving from one app to another, watching videos, checking notifications, or browsing social media feeds? Be honest with yourself. If you take a moment to think about it, you might be surprised at just how many hours slip away without you even realizing it. It is almost as if we have been trained to surrender our attention willingly, minute by minute, to our devices. What starts as a harmless way to relax often turns into a trap that quietly erodes our productivity, our focus, and ultimately, our potential. Scrolling has become one of the most common habits of our generation, yet few of us fully understand the cost of this seemingly innocent activity. Every notification, every post, every video is designed to capture our attention and keep it. Our brains are wired to seek novelty, and social media exploits that wiring. Each time we see a new post or an exciting update, our brain releases a small burst of dopamine, the chemical associated with pleasure and reward. That brief moment of enjoyment feels satisfying, but it also creates a cycle, a loop that keeps us coming back for more, often unconsciously. And while our brains get that small reward, our goals, our responsibilities, and our ambitions sit waiting, neglected and unattended. When we scroll endlessly, we are essentially trading real-life results for the illusion of productivity. Watching someone else work, learn, or succeed can give us a sense of motivation or inspiration in the moment, but it does nothing to advance our own lives unless we take immediate action. Every hour spent on social media is an hour that could have been spent on meaningful tasks, writing, creating, exercising, learning a skill, or connecting deeply with the people around us. It is a silent thief of time, and it is relentless. Many of us are caught in the trap without even realizing it because social media cleverly disguises itself as harmless entertainment or a way to stay connected. But the truth is that too much scrolling is not harmless at all. It slowly chips away at our ability to focus, to concentrate, and to accomplish meaningful work. This habit not only affects productivity, but also influences our mindset and energy levels. The constant exposure to curated lives, perfect images, and highlight reels of other people's achievements can create a sense of inadequacy and distraction. We compare ourselves to what we see online, forgetting that most of what we see is carefully selected to look impressive, exciting, or desirable. In trying to keep up with everyone else, we lose sight of our own path. Our attention becomes fragmented, and the deep work necessary to achieve goals is replaced by shallow, fleeting engagement with content that ultimately leaves us unsatisfied. The irony is that while scrolling is designed to make us feel entertained or informed, it often leaves us feeling drained, anxious, or restless. We come away from these sessions with a sense of time lost, as if hours of our lives have vanished into thin air. The trap of scrolling is not just about wasted time, it also limits our ability to dream, to plan, and to act. Productivity is built on focus and consistent effort, but endless scrolling breaks concentration and weakens our mental endurance. When our attention is constantly pulled in different directions, our brain struggles to engage fully with any task. We become accustomed to constant stimulation, to instant gratification, and we lose patience with the slow, sometimes frustrating process of creating, learning, and achieving. We forget that meaningful work requires commitment, persistence, and the courage to resist distraction. By allowing ourselves to scroll endlessly, we are essentially training our minds to avoid effort, to seek comfort over growth, and to settle for passive observation rather than active creation. What makes this trap so dangerous is that it often disguises itself as productivity. Many of us scroll with the belief that we are staying informed, learning new things, or networking. There is a subtle satisfaction in feeling connected, in keeping up with trends, and in watching others succeed. Yet, this is a form of illusionary productivity. It feels productive because we are engaged, but engagement is not action. Watching someone else's success will never replace taking steps toward your own. Reading motivational quotes, watching tutorial videos without practicing, or following countless success stories online does not build your own story. It only entertains you. Real productivity is measured by what you do, not by what you consume. Breaking free from this trap requires awareness and intention. The first step is recognizing how much time we are losing to scrolling and understanding the impact it has on our lives. Once we are aware, we can start to reclaim that time for meaningful work. The key is to replace passive consumption with active creation. For instance, instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media, dedicate that same time to pursuing a goal, practicing a skill, or taking one step closer to achieving a dream. Even small, deliberate actions can compound over time into extraordinary results. Productivity is not about working non-stop. It is about using your time with purpose, focus, and discipline. Every minute we choose action over scrolling is a minute invested in a better future. It is also important to recognize the mental patterns that keep us scrolling. We often turn to our devices when we feel bored, anxious, or uncertain. Scrolling becomes a coping mechanism, a way to escape discomfort or procrastinate. But this is precisely when we should choose work over scrolling. The moments of discomfort, hesitation, or uncertainty are opportunities for growth. They are signals that we are on the edge of something meaningful. Every time we resist the urge to scroll and take action instead, we strengthen our focus, resilience, and self-discipline. Over time, these moments of resistance become habits, and habits shape the trajectory of our lives. We live in a world where social media has become an inescapable part of our daily lives. It is everywhere, on our phones, our tablets, even our computers at work. What began as a simple way to connect with friends, share experiences, or find inspiration has transformed into something far more powerful and far more insidious. Social media is designed to capture our attention and keep it, and if we are not careful, it can subtly, yet profoundly, affect our focus, our motivation, and even the way we manage our time. Think about the last time you opened your phone for a quick check. A notification, a message, or a video. How long did that check actually take? 10 minutes? 20? Maybe even an hour? It is easy to underestimate how much time we spend on social media because it rarely feels like we are doing anything wrong. We are simply browsing, catching up, staying informed. Yet, every minute we spend on these platforms is a minute taken away from real productivity, from real action, and from pursuing the things that truly matter in our lives. The problem is not social media itself, it is how it controls our attention without us even realizing it. Social media has a profound effect on focus. Our brains are not designed to jump rapidly from one task to another dozens of times per hour. When we scroll, we are constantly switching attention between posts, videos, messages, and notifications. Each interruption, no matter how small, disrupts our concentration. Over time, this constant stimulation weakens our ability to focus deeply on any single task. We may find ourselves sitting down to work on something important, but our minds wander back to the phone, the latest notification, or a trending video. This fractured attention reduces the quality of our work, increases mistakes, and leaves us frustrated, because tasks take longer than they should. The deeper truth is that our brains need long periods of uninterrupted focus to create, problem solve, and innovate. Social media undermines this essential process, and the cost is not just lost time, it is lost potential. Motivation is another casualty of excessive social media use. When we scroll through feeds, we are bombarded with images of other people's successes, lifestyles, and achievements. We see friends traveling, colleagues earning promotions, or strangers living extraordinary lives. While it may feel inspiring at first, this constant comparison can have the opposite effect. Instead of motivating us, it can make us feel inadequate, frustrated, or even paralyzed. We see what others are doing and think, I should be there too, but we fail to act because the gap between observation and action feels overwhelming. Motivation is not simply about seeing success. It is about taking steps toward your own. Social media can create a false sense of action, convincing us that watching is the same as doing, and in doing so, it weakens our drive to create tangible results in our own lives. Time management is also severely affected by the pull of social media. It has an almost magnetic ability to consume hours without notice. How often do we open a platform with the intention of spending 5 minutes, only to find ourselves scrolling 30, 40, or 60 minutes later? Time management is not just about scheduling, it is about conscious decision-making and prioritization. Social media hijacks this process by distracting us from what is important, replacing intentional action with passive consumption. Over days, weeks, and months, these small increments of lost time accumulate into a significant deficit. The hours that could have been spent working toward goals, learning new skills, or improving ourselves are instead absorbed by a screen, leaving us with a sense of regret and unfulfilled potential. Moreover, social media trains our minds to crave constant stimulation, making it difficult to engage in sustained effort. Every time we receive a notification, our brain releases dopamine, giving us a brief sense of pleasure. We begin to associate this small reward with checking our phones repeatedly, reinforcing the habit of distraction. Unfortunately, meaningful work does not provide instant gratification. Learning a new skill, completing a project, or building something of value requires patience, effort, and persistence. By constantly turning to social media for quick rewards, we condition ourselves to avoid the delayed gratification that is essential for long-term success. Our ability to stay motivated for tasks that truly matter diminishes, and our potential is compromised. The consequences of allowing social media to dominate our attention extend beyond work and productivity. They affect our mental and emotional well-being as well. Studies have shown that excessive social media use can lead to anxiety, stress, and feelings of inadequacy. We constantly measure ourselves against the curated highlights of others, forgetting that social media is rarely an accurate reflection of reality. This comparison can erode confidence, reduce motivation, and make it harder to engage fully in our own lives. When our focus is divided, our time is mismanaged, and our motivation is undermined, we find ourselves trapped in a cycle where we scroll to escape stress, only to feel more stressed, distracted, and unproductive. Breaking free from this cycle is not easy, but it is essential. It requires awareness, discipline, and deliberate action. The first step is to recognize the effect social media has on your life, the way it fragments your attention, saps your motivation, and steals your time. Awareness alone will not change your habits, but it is the foundation upon which change is built. Once you are conscious of the cost, you can start implementing strategies to regain control. Set boundaries for social media use, schedule focused work periods, and resist the urge to check your phone at every idle moment. Replace passive scrolling with active creation. Instead of spending an hour browsing videos, spend an hour writing, designing, exercising, or learning. These actions may not provide immediate gratification, but they yield results that last, and over time, they reshape your habits, focus, and motivation. Consider the small but powerful choices that make a difference. Each time you resist a notification, each time you choose work over distraction, each time you redirect your energy from consumption to creation, you are strengthening your ability to focus, enhancing your motivation, and reclaiming your time. These choices may seem insignificant in the moment, but they compound over time. What feels like a single minute saved or a single task completed can snowball into hours, days, and months of progress. The difference between scrolling and working is not just in the moment, it is in the accumulation of choices, repeated consistently over time. Ladies and gentlemen, social media is not inherently evil, and it does offer value when used intentionally. It can connect us, inspire us, and educate us. But when it controls us, it undermines our focus, motivation, and time management. It is a tool that must be wielded with discipline, not a force that dictates our lives. The choice is ours. We can continue to let scrolling fragment our attention, drain our energy, and steal our time, or we can choose to take control, reclaim our focus, and dedicate our hours to meaningful action. Every moment we spend intentionally focusing on what truly matters moves us closer to our goals, strengthens our discipline, and empowers us to achieve the life we envision. Every day we are surrounded by content. From the moment we wake up, our phones, computers, and televisions feed us information, inspiration, and entertainment. We scroll through social media, watch videos, listen to podcasts, and read articles. There is no shortage of knowledge, motivation, or guidance at our fingertips. Yet, despite all this access, many of us struggle to achieve the results we desire. We consume endlessly, yet create very little. This is the fundamental difference that separates those who remain stuck from those who move forward, the passive observers from the active achievers. Consuming content is easy. It is comfortable. Watching a tutorial, reading a motivational post, or observing someone else's success gives us a sense of progress without requiring effort. It is almost addictive because it provides immediate gratification. We feel informed, inspired, and connected. In that moment, our brain rewards us with a sense of satisfaction, and we convince ourselves that we are being productive. We may even justify it by thinking we are preparing ourselves to act, but in reality, consumption without action achieves nothing. Knowledge without implementation is like holding a tool without ever using it. You may own a hammer, but if you never build anything with it, it serves no purpose. Creating results, on the other hand, requires action, effort, and persistence. It requires us to move beyond observation and take tangible steps toward our goals. Action is uncomfortable. It involves uncertainty, mistakes, and sometimes failure. But it is only through action that transformation occurs. While consumption can make us feel motivated for a moment, only creation produces outcomes. Reading about a successful entrepreneur will never make you wealthy. Practicing the skills, taking calculated risks, and putting in the work will. Watching fitness videos will not improve your health unless you exercise consistently. Learning strategies is only valuable if applied. Results come from execution, not observation. One of the biggest traps we fall into is believing that consuming more content will somehow make you better. We read another book, watch another video, or follow another motivational account, thinking we are preparing ourselves for greatness. But preparation without implementation is a form of procrastination. It creates an illusion of productivity while our dreams remain untouched. The more we consume, the more we feel we are working. But the reality is that we are simply spectators in our own lives. We watch others achieve, while our own potential waits silently, untouched and untested. The difference between consuming and creating also lies in mindset. When we consume, we adopt a passive mindset. We allow information to come to us, but we do not actively engage with it in a way that changes our reality. We hope, perhaps subconsciously, that inspiration will translate into action on its own. But creation requires a proactive mindset. It requires the courage to apply what we learn, to take imperfect steps, and to experiment until we achieve results. Creators do not wait for the perfect moment or for endless motivation. They act despite discomfort, uncertainty, or fear. Action transforms knowledge into tangible outcomes, and that is the ultimate measure of progress. Consider the countless examples in history and in everyday life. The people we admire most are rarely those who consumed the most information. They are the ones who took action, who applied what they knew, and who committed to producing results. Inventors, athletes, entrepreneurs, writers, and artists all share this in common. They moved beyond observation and engaged in relentless creation. Thomas Edison did not simply read about electricity. He experimented thousands of times to invent the light bulb. A musician does not achieve mastery by listening to music alone. They practice, compose, and perform. Knowledge is only powerful when it is applied. The gap between what we know and what we achieve is filled by our willingness to act, to create, and to persist. The challenge today is that content is everywhere, and it often feels easier than action. Social media feeds, online tutorials, podcasts, and motivational videos are designed to keep us engaged. They are convenient, entertaining, and sometimes even educational. But while consumption stimulates the mind, it does not challenge the body, it does not test our resolve, and it does not produce results on its own. True progress requires moving from passive engagement to active execution. Every time we choose to create rather than consume, we are reclaiming our time, our energy, and our potential. Another crucial point is that consuming content without creating can lead to frustration and stagnation. We may feel inspired momentarily, but the sense of motivation fades if not acted upon. The more we consume without creating, the more we realize the gap between what we know and what we have accomplished. This gap can become discouraging, making us question our abilities or our potential. Action, even small action, closes that gap. It builds confidence, momentum, and a sense of ownership over our progress. Results, no matter how small, create a feedback loop that encourages further action. Consuming without acting only prolongs frustration and delays growth. Creating results also requires discipline and consistency. While consumption can be done sporadically, creation demands routine. Results are rarely immediate. They are the product of repeated effort over time. When we move from observation to execution, we take control of our lives. We stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect motivation, or the perfect idea. We start doing. Each small step compounds, and over weeks and months, these actions accumulate into measurable progress. That is the power of creation. It turns intention into reality. The truth is that both consumption and creation have their place, but the balance must always favor creation. Knowledge is a tool, but results are the purpose. Inspiration is a spark, but action is the flame. Reading, watching, and learning are important only when they fuel your execution. Without action, consumption is empty. With action, even small knowledge can produce extraordinary results. Every moment spent creating moves you closer to your goals, strengthens your skills, and builds your confidence. Every moment spent merely consuming is a moment that could have been invested in building something tangible.